Montana's only daily sports talk show, Nuanez Now. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
I like football!
Now here's your host, Coulter Nuanez.
Yo, what's up, Montana? Welcome in, 102.9 ESPN Radio. You're listening to Nuanez Now. Appreciate you for hanging. I'm Coulter Nuanez. We are coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Grizzly Disposal has one bin recycling. They can pick it up from your house a couple times a month. You want to add the service or make the switch, give them a call. 406-541-7171. Grizzly Disposal, the only Bears that should be in your garbage. We're all into football mode now with the Big Sky kickoff right around the corner. There'll be a variety of fun subjects to interview and storylines to perpetuate and catch up on. And plenty of other news coming out of the weekend, this upcoming weekend in Spokane. So we will dive into that today. I'm going to just sort of use some of my questions that I've already prepared, particularly for the two Montana schools. So Montana State will bring Brent Deegan, the head coach, of course, but also the Dowler brothers, Taco and Caden. So a couple Montanans, a couple Billings guys representing the defending national champions. Montana will bring Eli Gilman and Peyton Wing, as well as new head coach Bobby Kennedy. It's been an interesting deal because some, like the people that the schools choose to bring, always the head coach is there, but some schools, they just bring their headliners. They bring their definitive best guys, their biggest stars. And oftentimes that means your quarterback. The Montana schools and some of the other more high-profile programs, sometimes they don't bring necessarily their headliner type of guys because they know those guys are going to have to do so much media during the year. Like, not all media environments are created equal, right? Like when Cal Poly and Northern Colorado and Portland State play the Grizz or the Cats, the Montana media does media with those guys that week. That's the only media those guys get basically the whole time. Bruce Barnum from Portland State got himself a little bit of radio action in the Portland area because he's such a funny guy. But, like guys like John Canzano or guys like the outlets like the Oregonian, they're not covering Portland State because they're good. They're covering them because Barnum's funny. And that's about it. But Cal Poly has almost no news coverage going on. And that's the same for several schools in the league. So them bringing guys to media day and propping them up, that might be one of only 2 or 3 or 4 interviews they do all year. Whereas if you're a guy like Justin Lamson, for example, at Montana State, you're probably going to do 50 interviews this year. You're probably going to do 25 group interviews and then another 25 one-on-one interviews. Or if you're a guy like Kaylee Ayat, he's been protected at Montana quite a bit these last 2 years. But he's going to be on the forefront, I believe, this upcoming year. So it's all to say, though, there's a mandate from the Big Sky this year to bring as high profile of players as you can. So you see the biggest stars for the Cats, the Dowler brothers, and the biggest stars for the Grizz, Eli Gilman and Peyton Wing. I mean, I think there's probably a trio of the biggest stars for the Grizz. I think it's probably a quartet, actually. In no particular order, it's Ayat, it's Gilman, it's Brooks Davis, it's Peyton Wing. Those are the 4 guys that are like the headlining guys for the Grizz football team. Well, 2 of those guys will be there. So we'll talk off the top here. Like the stuff that I would ask those guys, or that I'm going to ask those guys, sort of use those talking points to craft the narratives around their individual expectations for this upcoming season, as well as how sort of they fit into their team's expectations in the Big Sky Conference, and also just what sort of I think about their ability to contribute at an all-conference level here in the Big Sky. That's all just in segment number 1. We're also going to talk to Parker Link, our latest senior spotlight. Parker Link is a Missoula Hellgate graduate and a incoming University of Montana freshman. Be interesting to see where the Grizz put him. He did basically everything at Hellgate, played both sides of the ball, caught some passes, rushed out of the backfield, played a bunch of defense. He's also the punter. I think he was an all-conference punter last year, too. He's a good basketball player. He's a heck of a golfer. He's a great track guy. So he's a great all-around athlete. The Grizz have not determined, at least online, what position he's going to play. So that'd be interesting to see. But I also just want to know about his football journey because he, as an individual athlete, is a great athlete. Hellgate has had its well-chronicled struggles. But I think the fact that a couple of those Hellgate guys went through what they went through, it might seem sort of silly to say that only winning a handful of games in high school actually sets the stage for you to be good in college, but I think it does. Because if you're able to endure that and learn from it, and then you get to a program like Montana that's had, like 39 of the last 40 years have had a winning season, that's a pretty good transition to make. And I think you embrace then the winning mentality. I think it's going to be an interesting study to see how both Parker Link and Evan Pyron, couple Hellgate Knights that are now turning Montana Grizzlies, do when they get to the next level. But since Parker's a Missoula kid, he'll be here in studio with us here coming up, probably about 20, 25 minutes. We also have our latest Treasure State Stars, highlighting the best individual performances from around the state of Montana. That'll close out hour number one. Then hour number two, we're going to talk some NFL. We're going to talk some more Cats. We're going to talk some more Grizz. It's basically just a whole bunch of football coming your way here on this Tuesday. And because it's Tuesday, we have some free Taglieri for you too. Tag Tuesday every Tuesday here on Nuanez Now. We'll get you an opportunity to win a $25 gift card to Taglieri Deli with 2 locations in the city of Missoula and now 1 in Spokane as well. That's coming up about 4:45. So there you go. That's the show outlook. You want to stream the show, 1029ESPN.com. You can also find us on the ESPN MT app. You can also find us on YouTube and on Facebook and on Twitch. And if you'd like to be a part of the show, hit us up, 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Text us. What do you want us to talk about? What questions do you have? What are the intriguing storylines you are focusing on when it comes to Big Sky Conference football, college football in general, the NFL, any of it, all of it? Text us. Let us know. 406-888-1029. And any of the texts, Hayden will forward them along, and you'll be a part of the show. Big Sky kickoff coming up this weekend. I am really interested to just learn more about the psychology of an offseason for the 4 young men that are coming into the Big Sky kickoff representing the Grizz and the Bobcats. We'll start with Eli Gilman. I'm going to get a chance to spend some time with Eli tomorrow. I'll let you know why later on, but there's a teaser for you. I will say it's NIL related and promotional for some of our business clients here at Missoula Broadcasting. But Gilman, I've gotten a chance to spend time with him off the field more than just about any other Grizz of the contemporary era. And that's because he's been a superstar since he first walked onto campus 5 years ago. He is such a good dude. He's got no ego to him at all. And I love spending time with him. He's got great perspective. He's sneaky funny. But because he's been a superstar, he's been involved in a bunch of NIL deals with people that advertise then with us here at Missoula Broadcasting Company. And so each year it seems like we're spending a day in the summer just doing some content and knocking out some stuff. So we'll have more on that a little bit later on. But I'll be hanging with him tomorrow. And then when we get to Spokane, what I want to ask him, because he's talked about this in broad strokes, but I want to ask him definitively, not just why he stayed at the University of Montana, but if what he has now at his fingertips is a motivating factor, is one of the reasons why he did stay. I've asked him directly, well, what has kept you at Montana all these years? He's a guy that has such a great talent. He could have gone a lot of places. I thought he was like a borderline Big Ten running back coming out of high school, let alone now that he's developed into a grown man. Yeah, I mean, I think he could go to most places in college football and play and probably start. But I've asked him directly, like, what's kept you here? And he said all the right things, and he's talked extensively about, the family environment with the Grizz team and the ferocity of the fan base and how passionate they are, how much he enjoys Missoula, how much he enjoys being a part of a winning program. But I want to know specifically if the fact that he has an opportunity to go down as statistically the greatest running back in the history of Grizz football, if that's been a part of the reason why he stayed. I think I know the answer, but I want to know from him. He enters his senior year needing 396 yards rushing to overtake the all-time rushing record at the University of Montana. He also needs just 7 touchdowns to break the all-time touchdowns record as well. So based on his normal pace, by about mid-October, he should be right there. As long as he stays healthy, he should be right there, knocking on the door of breaking some major and hallowed records. Single-season records are probably up for grabs as well. The single-season rushing record for the Grizz is 1,658 yards, set by Johansi Humphreys back in 2001. Chase Reynolds in 2008 rushed for 1,583 yards. Gilman's 1,560 yards last year was the third most in program history, and that came during his junior year. Humphrey also has the all-time career rushing record, 4,070. So with 396, Gilman would pass that, and with anything more than 400, he'll become a 4,100-yard rusher, the first ever in Grizz history, and he'll send that into the stratosphere. Gilman also has 49 touchdowns, so he needs just 3 to tie Reynolds for the rushing touchdown record, and he needs 7 to break the total touchdowns record. The total touchdowns record is 59 by Chase Reynolds. So Gilman has 52 total touchdowns. He's got the 3 receiving touchdowns as well. So he's already tied with Lex Hilliard for the second most in program history. 7 more to tie Reynolds, 8 more to break Reynolds' record, and then again, just 4 more to break Reynolds' touchdowns record as well. The single season touchdown record, if you're remembering, is 23, set by Marcus Knight in 2019. Gilman had 16 rushing touchdowns a year ago, which was the third most in school history as well. So he's been right there in the mix for the single season records already. Again, he just needs 396 yards and 4 rushing touchdowns to break the rushing records, and just 8 total touchdowns to break the overall touchdowns record as well. And if he got to that 60 touchdown mark, he'll be one of only a few guys in Big Sky history that have gotten 60 touchdowns or more. That's all to say, I know he's well aware of that. How much was that, though, a driving factor in his decision to stay? In an era where players constantly move, I think that him staying is a gigantic part of his legacy. I just really hope people appreciate it, because singularly, his career is already getting close to, if not definitively, on the Mount Rushmore of Grizz running backs. The Grizz have had a ton of great running backs. I think if you're being fair to everybody and accounting for all the eras, I think you'd have to say that Johansi Humphrey for sure has to be on the Grizz Mount Rushmore of running backs. Chase Reynolds for sure has to be on the Mount Rushmore of Grizz running backs. Lex Hilliard for sure has to be on the Mount Rushmore of Grizz running backs. I think that the next spot, though, is between Eli Gilman, Rocky Cleaver, who was an unbelievable running back for the Grizz in the late 1970s and early 1980s, who then went on to play everything, running back, tight end, H-back in the NFL, played for the New York Jets. I think that you got to consider Cleaver. You probably have to consider Jordan Canada, who was 4th in school history with rushing, but I'd put Gilman above Canada already. And then Justin Green, because of what he did at Montana in just 2 years, but also then because of the fact that he was drafted in the NFL, and then the fact he came back to Montana and had such a huge impact in coaching, and he helped recruit guys like Gilman, helped coach guys like Chase Reynolds. I think, well, actually, Justin Green didn't coach for Chase Reynolds. Mick Delaney was the head coach, or the running backs coach, for Chase Reynolds then. But either way, Green coached a bunch of good running backs. Green was also a great running back himself. But I still think Gilman's ahead of him. To me, the fourth spot is basically between Cleaver and Gilman, but I think it's going to be definitive that it's Johansi Humphrey and then probably Gilman ahead of everybody else by the time this season gets going. And if Gilman does what he needs to do, he's the number one. He's the number one guy on that list. And I want to know if he understands that and also how much that played into his decision to run it back for his fifth and final year at the University of Montana. Big Sky Kickoff storylines and questions here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Probably presented in part by Cash One Pond. Cash One Pond, the premier pawn shop in western Montana. Hunting season right around the corner, just like football season's right around the corner. If you need a firearm, check out Cash One Pond. They have a big whiteboard right behind their firearm selection, and every day there's a daily special up there. Everything from ammo discounts to gun discounts. Sometimes they'll just have like 12-gauge shotguns on sale, for example. So go to Cash One Pond, off a Roller Coaster Road, check out the whiteboard, and tell them ESPN Radio sent you. Cash One Pond, the premier pawn shop in western Montana. All right, on the Cat side of things, their offensive representative at the Big Sky Kickoff is Taco Dowler. And Taco Dowler has ridden the wave of a meteoric rise to start. He was always a star, man. I mean, he's the Gatorade Player of the Year coming out of Billings West High School. He played wide array as a true freshman. It's pretty clear he's going to be a special player. He's had a penchant for being super clutch already early on here in his career. He got the long pass against Northern Arizona to set up a game-winning field goal that resulted in the Cats then hitting that field goal and escaping Flagstaff with a 41-38 win, basically at the buzzer in 2021 when Taco was a freshman. He then went through some injuries, but he came back on the other side. He had his breakout year last year, the best single season of his career, and of course it was capped by an all-time great performance in the national championship game that included catching what amounted to be the game-winning touchdown as Montana State beat Illinois State 35-34 in overtime. That then set the stage for, I would argue, an offseason that was filled with as much exposure for a Treasure State athlete as there's ever been. Taco Dowler is the golden goose of name, image, and likeness in the state of Montana. He's got brand deals with dozens of brands. He had a very successful camp circuit for the second season in a row. Had close to 2,000 kids show up to his summer camps during the month of June. He branded his own taco seasoning that's now getting distributed, not just all of the state of Montana, but throughout. There's an e-commerce site where you can order it. He's got his own creatine based on from a nutritional supplement company. He's repping everything from the Big Sky PBR bull riding event to car dealerships to fancy like high-rise condos in Bozeman. That's all amazing. But as somebody that has spent the last 15 years as an independent entrepreneur trying to use my talents to build a brand and then have an association with a great company like ESPN, I can tell you right now that when you're doing that, it is all-consuming. Well, when you're in your 20s and your 30s like me, and that's what you're doing, you're trying to build your life to give a foundation for your life so you can be successful, it's still exhausting. But I don't also have to worry about going to class and also chasing a back-to-back national championship. Dowler has an unbelievable ability to organize this stuff in his mind. It's been very fascinating to watch. But now that he had this offseason where he's the king of the world and he's the king of Bozeman and he's the king he's the star of stars in the Big Sky Conference and especially in the state of Montana. How do you not let that be a distraction? That's why I want to ask him. How do you balance it all? I think he has the gift where he has the ability to balance it all, and that's very impressive. I think he's really, really good at his time management and his ability to balance people pulling him from a variety of different directions. But how do you top what you did, right? Like, how do you top having been a 1,000-yard receiver who also made some of the biggest plays in school history, who also had one of the most iconic games in the history of a Montana or Montana State player in a national championship game? How do you top that? And can you top that while also being involved in all your various entrepreneurial pursuits? I think you certainly can, and I think you certainly will. I don't know if certainly will, but I think he has a very good chance to, because I think he's wired like that. I think he's unbelievable. But he's talked on this show throughout this offseason. He's come on 3 times. He's talked about his own personal motivations. He's talked about wanting to run it back and leave a legacy at Montana State. How do you balance that? Like, how do you make that the main thing and also make your brand the main thing? That's a really tricky balancing act. Again, I think he's probably doing it as well as anybody. But does one take away from the other? I'm not implying that it does, but I just want to know from him, like, how do you go about tackling that? That could be a very, very stressful and time-consuming pursuit. But again, I think that he has that. I think he's wired like that, certainly. And then the last thing is just the lasting impact of the impact he's had at Montana State is already significant. And the fact that he's been a trailblazer in the name, image, and likeness realm has already been significant. But now the concentration has to be on leaving a cherry on top. You already got the national championship. You already got the brand name recognition that's going to carry you for the rest of your life in the state of Montana. You got the unforgettable name. You got the unforgettable personality. You got all these brand deals. All of that will never change, but you have to go out with a bang when you get to the base camp to try to summit Everest again. And again, I think he's got it in him. I'm just so interested to see, like, how did he balance all of this? How's he been able to do it? Nuanez Now, 129 ESPN Radio, Big Sky Kickoff Media Conference coming up in Spokane, Washington this next week. How about the defensive representatives for the Montana schools? Peyton Wing is a senior outside linebacker. He was a all-conference player last year for the Grizz in his first year after transferring from Portland State. And, Wing was great, but I'm so interested to see how he fits in. I mean, the Gilman question is a football question. The Taco Dowler question is a football question, or is off the field. I mean, sort of like a broad question, big picture questions for both those offensive guys. It's about them and their personalities and their choices to make the decisions that they've made and stay in the league and stay in the state. For Wing, my question is just straight up a football question. He was super productive in year one for the Grizz, but he was also playing in a completely different defense than what he played in at Portland State, and he was also playing at a completely different school. All of it was different. And the defense itself is a completely unorthodox defense. He was very productive, 78 tackles, 8.5 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks. His 4 picks makes him, I think, the second leading interception guy in the league that returns, other than Caden Dowler, who we'll get to here in just a quick minute. But that production is singular to that scheme. I have no doubt that Peyton Wing will be able to produce at a super high level in a different scheme, because he did at Portland State. He was great at Portland State. But I'm so interested to know, like, what's the adjustment like when you go from, because Portland State was running a little bit of an unorthodox defense as well, like when he was there. And then, of course, the Grizz 3-3-5 voodoo defense is totally unorthodox. So if the Grizz this year, and it's still a mystery, right? Eric Sanders has been a little bit vague on what he wants to run, which of course, if you're a new coordinator at a new school, why wouldn't you be vague? You're not going to go just tell the secrets to the revamping on the radio or on a podcast, right? But I do expect, just given Sanders' coaching tree, his background in the NFL, where he's been at in college at Eastern Washington and UC Davis specifically, I'm almost certain that first of all, it's impossible to not be more traditional and more streamlined than what the Grizz have been the last 8 years. The 3-3-5 is like a scheme that I've never seen before. There's a couple other programs in college football that run it. But I'm pretty good at diagnosing X's and O's of what defenses are trying to do. It took me a long time to figure out what the Grizz were trying to do. Because a lot of it is not based on principles or fundamentals. It's based on pure chaos. And it's based on pure pressure. So I think no matter what Sanders runs, even if he runs an exotic defense, I still think that they are going to have a chance to be more traditional, more streamlined than what they've been the last 8 years, and certainly in Peyton Wing's only season with the Grizz. So if that's the case, how is he picking it up? How is he doing? The fact that he's a linebacker that's playing for Eric Sanders, the DC is the linebackers coach. I think there's a certain element of intrigue there too. I think the Grizz are going to be really good at linebacker, but how the linebackers stack up, you know Wing's going to be a guy. You know Solomon Tuliapupu is going to be a guy. You're almost certain Clay Oven's going to be a guy. Then who? They have about 6 other guys that could be options to be in sort of that 4 or 5 man rotation. How many linebackers are they going to play? Are they going to be three linebackers, 4 linebackers? I know they're going to primarily play 3 at once, but how many guys are going to be in the rotation during the season? Like the last couple of years, they basically played in almost platoons. They would play 6 linebackers, and they would mix and match them. It wasn't necessarily first and second string. They would just have sort of like their headliner guys, then they would rotate in, and it was definitely a lot of opportunity for a lot of different players to get on the field. How's that going to work in this scheme? We'll see. But I think Wing has a chance to even take it up a notch. I think just the way he runs, his ball skills, his instincts, his nose for the football, I think all those things make him a really, really good either on-ball or off-ball linebacker in a more traditional 4-3 type of scheme. And I think that's going to be really interesting to see how he adjusts to that under a new coaching staff. So that my question for Peyton Wing is almost exclusively just about how does he feel like he's fitting in now that he's not playing in this chaos spot where he can wreak havoc, but he's playing in a more traditional spot where maybe he can use his football acumen, his football IQ, his ability to diagnose things. I also think that the fact that it's changing back to a more traditional scheme is going to help Peyton Wing at the next level too. I don't know if he's quite tall enough. He's listed at 6 feet, 230 pounds, so he's got good size. It's the length more than the height that matters for NFL linebackers, but I do think getting film in a more traditional pro-style scheme will also help him as well. So I'm excited to talk some scheme with Peyton Wing. We'll come back to Caden Dowler, but right now we'll take a break. We'll come back and talk some future Grizz. Our latest senior spotlight, Parker Link, a University of Montana incoming freshman who just graduated from Missoula Hellgate. He'll join us on the other side. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. It's 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Around here, we see a lot of people head out. No matter where they're going, we just make sure they're ready. Before you hit the road, get a pre-trip safety check at Les Schwab Tires. It's free. Plus, this May, save up to $200 on select sets of 4 tires.
If we can't guarantee it, we won't sell it.
At Shields, we're anglers, endlessly seeking and refining techniques. We're hunters and storytellers, because we've been out there. We're experts that put products and gear to the test, so we can share that knowledge with you. At Shields, we understand your outdoor journey and the path you're on, because we walk it too, every step of the way. Shields, right there with you.
Mountain Town Vacation Rental Management, your local partner for vacation rental success. We provide a fully customized hosting experience tailored to your needs and goals. Your home is listed on every major site, helping you maximize visibility and bookings. And our local team is available 24/7 to handle guest needs and booking inquiries. Let us take the stress out of managing your vacation home. Contact us today at mountaintownvrm.com or give us a call at 406-369-3080.
The rare moments in life, they're not just few and far between. They're meant to be treasured.
Bring the whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair, restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair, restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
For the fifth consecutive year, the Montana State Bobcats are the consensus favorite to win the Big Sky Conference, according to the preseason polls released Tuesday by the league office. Hello, I am Hayden Smith. Montana State enters the 2026 season as the defending Big Sky Conference and FCS national champions. After opening last year with an 0-2 record, the Bobcats rattled off 14 straight victories to capture their third conference championship in 4 seasons and their first national title since 1984. That championship team returns plenty of star power, led by All-American senior quarterback Justin Lamson, All-Big Sky running back Adam Jones, All-Conference receiver and return specialist Taco Dowler, and reigning Big Sky Defensive Player of the Year, Caden Dowler. That returning talent, combined with head coach Brent Vigen's remarkable success, has Montana State entering the season as the overwhelming favorite. Vigen has posted an impressive 37-3 conference record during his 5 seasons in Bozeman. The Bobcats received 35 of the 38 first-place votes in the media poll and 11 of the 13 first-place votes from the league's coaches. Montana was picked to finish second in both polls and received 1 first-place vote from the media. UC Davis was the unanimous choice for third, earning 2 first-place votes from both the media and coaches. Rounding out the top 5, Idaho State was selected 4th in the media poll and 5th by the coaches, while Northern Arizona finished 4th in the coaches' polls and 5th in the media rankings.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
Welcome back. 129 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned, veteran-owned, and the only Bears that should be in your garbage. Time for our latest Senior Spotlight, where we highlight individual performers from around the state of Montana, both boys and girls athletes from high schools all across the Treasure State. We particularly love when the Missoula guys and gals, though, are highlighted, not just because we love Missoula as we broadcast here from the Missoula Broadcasting Company studios, but also because it's fun because they get to come down and actually sit with me here in the studio. So our next guest, Parker Lake, a recent graduate of Missoula Hellgate. He's headed to the Grizz to play football just in a couple weeks. I was going to say next year, but we're right up to it. So football on the horizon, and certainly exciting times for him and a couple other Hellgate guys that are taking their talents to the next level in football. Parker, what's up, man? Thanks for swinging down.
Yeah, thanks for having me out here.
First of all, we got to talk about the here and now. So you graduate Hellgate, and then you don't get much of a summer, only a couple weeks, and now you guys report to the dorms here in just a couple weeks, and then fall camp opens on August 1st. So how we feeling? College football is like right around the corner for you.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Summer's gone really fast, and it's been kind of a more free summer in a way, just because you don't have high school basketball and
right.
high school football camps all summer long. But yeah, I'm really excited.
Well, a cool opportunity for you, certainly, and it's been fun to watch you guys as you pursued this. So let's go back to the beginning of your senior year. Certainly, Hellgate has had its challenges. Those have been much chronicled, but I thought that the heart you guys showed the last couple of years and sticking with it and being there, I think it's going to pay dividends for you guys into the future. And you guys had some competitive games last year and won a few of them as well. So just take me through what's it been like sort of trying to get Hellgate back going from the football perspective these last couple of years.
Yeah, it's definitely been difficult for my 4 years and the years before I got to high school to kind of get people motivated, especially for the football program. Having the lack of numbers has been the biggest struggle, I would say, just from a size standpoint, because our freshman team had 20 kids, and then half those kids are swinging up to the varsity level as well. And it's just really difficult kind of to get kids in the weight room as well. When there's not a ton of success and winning going around,
Sure.
They're not kind of as motivated to show up early in the morning and put in the work that is needed to win.
But you guys had a core of guys that really were dedicated to that. Yourself, Evan Pyron, Vinny Paffhausen, all those guys have been on the show before as well. So what kept you guys going? What kept you motivated, even when maybe the wins were hard to come by?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for that group of seniors has been kind of the root that we built back in third grade. We played football. A bunch of us played from third all the way through 12th grade. And I think kind of just sticking with each other and knowing that we had, the most success possible when we were younger and we were beating up on everybody else. And then coming to high school, we kind of stuck together, and the weight room was the biggest part for us. Our senior class had the biggest output in the weight room. And I think that led to our success this year.
Yeah, totally. Well, and it's been fun to watch you guys stay dedicated to it too, right? Because the way it goes, there's a lot of different variety of different circumstances that go on, especially in Missoula and around western Montana. But it could have been easy enough for you guys to just say, well, we're not going to do this. Let's just go somewhere else, right? Let's just go to a different high school. But you didn't. So what kept you at Hellgate?
Yeah, I think just having all of my friends from basketball, football, and I went to Paxton, which is a Hellgate school.
Yeah, right there, right next to it, basically.
Washington Middle School is kind of a split down the middle. I kind of knew I wanted to follow all the way through with the Hellgate way and just stick with that path.
Well, and having good success in basketball probably kept you guys, because you guys have been playing hoops together forever too, right?
Yeah.
So just having that group together in hoops and having a lot of success there, that probably also kept you motivated a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Basketball is probably my number one sport for the younger years, and then I kind of quit growing after high school started, so I transitioned into the football way of things, and that seemed to work out. So
Parker Lake joining us here on Nuanez Now. It's our senior spotlight. It's probably presented in part by Dazzler's Car Wash of Missoula. Treat your car like it deserves to be treated all summer long at Dazzler's. So the regular season during basketball, it was basically you guys in Sentinel battling it out all year long down the stretch in the West. And I thought that last couple of weeks was awesome. It was pure theater. Hellgate goes to his first Sentinel comes to Hellgate's gym and wins, and then Hellgate goes to Sentinel's gym and gets them back. And you guys basically split to take the top two seeds out of the West into the state tournament. So take me through some of your memories there. You had the unenviable task of guarding the Gatorade Player of the Year a couple times in those games. And for those of you if you're not watching on TV or you can't see it on the app, Parker, what are you, about 5'11", 6 feet tall?
5'11".
Yeah, 5'11". Lincoln Rogers about 6'8", 6'9". So when he's battling with Lincoln, a little bit of a height disparity, but you gave him some challenges for sure. But take me through some of your memories of just going back and forth with the Spartans during the regular season.
Yeah, to start the year, just having the Billings schools come here, I was hurt for those games, unfortunately. So coming back for the conference games was really exciting, and then Sentinel is always that game on the schedule that you just always circle and are looking forward to. We dropped the first one in our own gym to them, which was pretty unfortunate. But we were close the whole time.
Yeah, it was back and forth.
Yeah, it was Yeah.
And it was a sweet atmosphere too, right?
Yeah. I mean, the Hellgate gym is so small, but there's not a single open seat in that whole gym.
Yeah, that's what makes it fun, man. And it's always so hot in there. It's just a very unique atmosphere for high school basketball in Montana.
Very, very loud.
Yeah, no doubt. But then you go back and get them in their place a couple weeks later.
We go back to Sentinel. It's our last game of the regular season. We both already had our spots locked up for the state tournament, but we kind of wanted to put a little something to them just to start something going into state and see what we could bring. But yeah, we took them down there. I had the task of guarding Lincoln for probably 3 of the 4 quarters, which was very difficult to say the least. And I mean, he still had 23 points, I think, but those 23 points were well earned, and I think I challenged him a good amount, but he's one heck of a player for sure.
Oh, he's a great player, and it was really fun watching just the battles, the back and forth, because Sentinel and Hellgate had such different styles this last basketball season, but both two very good teams. I mean, Hellgate so disciplined, deep. What did you say? 6 or 7 seniors on the squad,
7
right?
or 6.
Six. So veteran, and there's a whole bunch of football guys that were playing basketball, but also some really good basketball guys as well. So fun watching. But then he got hurt, right? So you didn't get a chance to play in the state tournament. So how'd you sort of overcome that? And also, what'd you think of just the heartbreakers that Hellgate went through? I mean, Hellgate came up with the trophy, but man, 3 overtimes later between the 2 overtime games that they went into, that must have been tough for you to watch from the sideline.
Yeah, it was really hard because let's see, after we beat Sentinel, it was that first Monday back. We're just kind of we're doing a little bit of playing in the half court, and I did my knee a little solid, so that's unfortunate. But yeah, we get to state, we handle our first game fine, and then Billings West comes around, and that 3 overtime game was insane. Just
crazy.
Sitting there. I mean, I'd say my biggest factor in basketball is defense.
Yeah.
Especially this year, and I mean the score was 73, I think. So yeah, I wish I could have taken part in shutting them down a little bit. But.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, and obviously that injury then trickled into track. But to me, I think track is one of the big things that opened the door for you. I mean, obviously you're a great football player as well, but I think some of those times you ran last year probably helped you in recruiting, no doubt. And that's one thing that I think has been so cool to watch in Montana is that the guys that have been buying into doing track when they have football dreams, it helps sort of even the playing field, right? Because if you run 11-second 100 meters, it doesn't matter what level you play at, where you play at. Like you're fast enough to play college football, basically. So, take me through your junior year of track, and how much you think that sort of opened some doors for you from a collegiate football standpoint.
Yeah, I've never really taken track serious.
Yeah.
Because my freshman year, I was one of the faster freshmen in the state. And then my sophomore year, I was still cutting time off from 8th grade to freshman year, sophomore year. And then my junior year came around, and first meet I ran like an 11.25, which was qualifying for state, and that
which is really good.
Really shocked me because I didn't really expect to qualify that fast, which took a bunch of stress off for the rest of the season. And then with the meet here in Missoula, I think it was like a Missoula, Sentinel, and Flathead, or three schools. And
sure.
Might have been a little bit of a tailwind, but I ran a 10.96 there. And then ended up taking 5th at state, but I was only 0.1 off first place, so that was really, really cool to see.
Yeah, but what's it been like? Parker Lincoln studio with us here, Missoula Hellgate. Senior Spotlight, probably presented by McElberry Homes, the premier custom home builder in western Montana. The group of sprinters in the state of Montana the last, I'd say, 3 years have been unbelievable, especially the AA level. I mean, there's 12 dudes that ran sub 11 seconds this year. But there was guys that weren't even in the state final that had run like 10.96, 10.98. So it's been unbelievable to watch just like the quality of it. Racing against those guys these last couple of years, how much do you think that challenged you as an athlete?
Yeah, it's been, I love competing.
Yeah, that's I can tell.
I play all 3 sports, football, basketball, and track, which I think has definitely benefited me for the long run, especially within high school. And track's the biggest thing for speed and keeping your body in shape going into summer camps for football.
Yeah.
But yeah, just competing with all the kids throughout the state. Let's see, 2 years ago, Jackson Allery.
Yep.
He's at Tech now, is flying, but he was challenging me the whole season just because we're rivals, but we're buddies. And
sure.
So that meet, I ran the 10.9, he ran like a 10.7. So I was chasing him the whole year, but I just could never get him.
Do you think that pushes you forward, though? It's kind of sort of having somebody else that you're sort of chasing or that you're competing against all the time?
Yeah, I mean, coming out of the blocks, he was just ahead of me, which that's my best part as a start because my 40 time's pretty good too, just getting out really quick. But yeah, I've seen him just like 1-2 meters ahead of me the whole time, kind of just makes me push harder and harder the whole time. But
well, that certainly then I think opened some doors. So just take us through your recruiting with the Grizz then, because shortly after that great track season and coming off a good junior football year as well, you get some offers that all of a sudden this becomes a reality. So take me through when you first heard from Montana and what the recruiting process was like for you.
Yeah, I've been to every single Grizz camp in the summer since I think you were able to even attend those.
Yeah.
Probably kindergarten, like really young. So I've just continued to go to those camps, and my sophomore year going into junior year was the first year they really started to focus in on me. But I hadn't heard a ton from them yet. And then after I ran that track time that summer, we went to the 7-on-7 camp here, and I balled out, luckily, which was probably the biggest thing for that time. And then I went to the individual camp there and ran the fastest 40 in the whole camp. And then a week after that, they called me and just offered me. So
what did you think when you first got the call? Was that a surreal moment for you as a Missoula guy?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't totally think it was real at first. I mean, it was kind of out of nowhere. I mean, they were talking to me and they're like, "Yeah, we'll see what the roster and everything looks like." But once I got that call, it was from Rob Fennessy.
Nice.
He called me, and I was just, like, completely shocked. I didn't know what to say.
Well, that's awesome, but it probably didn't take you long to commit.
Oh, yeah, it took, like, 3 days. I mean, when he called me and I answered, I knew I was committing probably right then and there, but you can't do it right there without talking to your parents.
Totally, yeah.
Giving them the rundown of everything.
Yeah, totally. Well, pretty cool. So, one of the earlier commitments, but also you have a now former and future teammate that's going with you, Evan Pyron, who's been on the show a couple times as well. So what do you think of that dynamic? You played with him, like you mentioned, since third grade. Now you guys get to play in college together. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that. We played basketball in second grade, football in third grade, and every single year since then we've been on the same team. So I think that's really cool to see, too, especially Hellgate boys going out and playing football out of every sport, because Hellgate's not really seen as a football school. And just having him as a teammate, someone to lean on if I need something or talk to him, and it's kind of nice that we both live in Missoula because we know the way around. So.
And you guys are going to be probably leaned on a little bit, too, to show some of the other guys that maybe aren't from here around, too, Josh. So you're excited about that part?
Yeah, I think it'll be really cool just being from here, especially because some of the people from out of state or in state but that are a few hours away might not know the places to eat, places to go, all the fun stuff. So we'll show them around Missoula and try to get them ready for the city.
Yeah, no doubt. Parker Link joining us here, Senior Spotlight, probably presented by Dazzler's Car Wash of Missoula. So you played everything in high school. Do you have any idea what you're going to play at the next level?
As of right now, I'm going to be a safety.
Okay.
Free safety.
Yep.
There's 2 other kids from Montana playing safety, and then Dane Kellner from Hawaii.
Yep.
Who's also coming in for safety. So it's 4 of us playing safety as of right now, but you never know when summer comes around or like August 1st comes around, they'll put you everywhere for scout team. You know, just try you everywhere, see where you fit best. But
well, how you feeling going into this? Are you obviously excited. Are you nervous at all?
Very, yeah. Still a little worried about the knee.
Yeah, sure,
I
right.
mean, it's getting healed pretty good, but it's still kind of a mental block at first. Just to realize that you're able to go full and go all that. So,
well, has it sunk in that? As we said off air, you've been going to Grizz games your whole life. Like that's what you've been doing on Saturdays in the fall. So has it sunk in yet that like now you're going to be, standing on the sidelines or in the red shirt section or whatever it may be, and you're going to be on this team?
Yeah, it's really really weird to think. Like even just a week ago, I was sitting there getting excited to watch the Grizz football games, and then I kind of was like, "Oh, you're not going to be watching the games. You're going to be part of the team.
That's awesome.
And you'll know what's the game plan is and all that stuff." So. Yeah, it's still, it's definitely hit me, but not near to what it will when the first game hits August 29th.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, what has you most excited about this opportunity? What's the thing that maybe you're looking forward to the most about these next couple of months?
That's a good question. Probably just getting to know a bunch of the other guys because, I've only played football in the state of Montana.
Sure.
And, I'm really close with the Missoula guys, but getting to know some of my rivals that may have played with me or against me.
Sure.
and then some of the out-of-state guys, just making bonds with all of them and seeing how the years come along.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. I mean, that's one of the best parts and most interesting parts to me about covering it is just the meshing of all these guys from all. I mean, you know what I mean? Like you're going to meet guys from Hawaii and California and Texas and guys you probably never meet otherwise besides the melting pot that is college football. So that's certainly super exciting. So last thing for you then, what will you take from your Hellgate career in totality and all the things that you've learned these last couple of years at Hellgate? What will you take it sort of into your Grizz career?
Yeah, I think playing at Hellgate, you're always kind of an underdog. And going into the Grizz, I'm walking on, so I have something to prove still, and
right.
I'm really motivated to try to work up from that position on the team and see where I can go in the next few years.
Well, very cool. We're excited to follow along, and we appreciate you for swinging down here today.
Thank you.
Parker Link, our latest senior spotlight, probably presented by Blaine McElmurray and McElmurray Homes, a former small-town guy from Montana who was a great safety for the Grizz in the mid-1990s. He's now one of the top custom home builders in the western part of the state of Montana. And McElmurray Homes, proud to support high school athletics across the Treasure State. We'll take a break, come back. He mentioned Jackson Allery. There's a tease for what's coming up. Our Treasure State Stars feature some of the best track performances of the summer so far, including at the Big Sky State Games. We'll do that next. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. It's 129 ESPN Radio.
Life can change in an instant. If you've been hurt in an accident, suffered from medical negligence, or are facing criminal charges, you don't have to face it alone. At Ryan Miller & Coburn, we're here to listen and fight for you. We're your neighbors, traveling across Montana to stand by your side as your link to justice. Real people, real help, right here in Montana. Ryan Miller & Coburn, your Montana attorneys.
Around here, we see a lot of people head out. No matter where they're going, we just make sure they're ready. Before you hit the road, get a pre-trip safety check at Les Schwab Tires. It's free. Plus, this May, save up to $200 on select sets of 4 tires.
If we can't guarantee it, we won't sell it.
Life's about the journey, not the destination, right? Why can't it be about both?
Jewelry Design Center. We want to be your jeweler for life.
On 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Grizzly Disposal has roll-off construction boxes for your construction project. Don't wait days or even weeks. Get them to you within 24 hours. All you have to do is call Grizzly Disposal or visit grizzlydisposal.com. Grizzly Disposal, the only Bears that should be in your garbage. Time for our Treasure State Stars. Presented by Parkside Credit Union. Highlighting the best individual performances from the week that was. Treasure State Star number 1, Addison Kegel. She was the winner of the Montana Mile on the women's side. She is already a phenom. There's been some great distance runners throughout the history of the state of Montana. And Kegel is already off to such a great start in her running career that she's going to be right there if she continues on this trajectory. She's a freshman at Billings Central. She's about to be a sophomore. But as a freshman, she was the Montana Gatorade Runner of the Year in both cross country and track and field. She swept all the middle distance races at the Class A track meet last year, the 800, the 1600, and the 3200. So, and she won state cross country as well. So that's like the quartet. That's pretty much like unimpeachable. If you win those 4 races in a calendar year, you are the best distance runner in the state of Montana. And she did that as a freshman. Then coming into the Montana Mile, which is an invitational race of the best milers in the state, she blew the competition out of the water, quite frankly, and she smashed the Montana Mile record. She won the race by 24 seconds, and she broke the all-time record by more than 10 seconds. So safe to say, Addison Kegel and her trajectory her legend, I should say, continues to grow. She is definitely not just the future of Montana distance running, but the present. Thursday star number 2, Iris Hancock. Talking about phenoms, this young lady isn't even in high school yet. She is a 8th grade graduate who's heading to Bozeman High School. She ran 12.45 seconds in the 100 meters at the Montana 100. This is at the Big Sky State Games in Billings to win the race. Again, she's never even run a high school race, and she just beat a bunch of collegiate athletes and high school athletes. To put this in perspective, Emery Peel set the all-class state record at the AA meet for Billings Senior last spring. She was in this race. Iris Hancock has never run a high school race in her life, yet she beat the defending, reigning Montana all-class record holder in the 100 meters in her first race against her. Pretty amazing. Thursday star number 3, Ace Ackerman. He's from Glendive. He's a medical school student at the University of North Dakota, but he's running the Montana Mile 7 times. He's never won. He's been runner-up twice until this last weekend, but he won this last weekend. So a great testament to his perseverance. Pretty cool that he kept on coming back for more. His time, he ran about 4 minutes and 11 seconds to take home the Montana Mile. Thursday star number 4. You heard Parker Link, our latest senior spotlight, as a graduate of Missoula Hellgate who's headed to the Grizz. He talked about Jackson Allery, a kid from Missoula Sentinel who really pushed him in the sprints during their high school track careers. And Allery put another feather in his cap. He was the AA champion in Montana a couple years back. He's been running at Montana Tech the last couple years. He wins the 2nd annual Montana 100, and he does it record-setting time, 10.74 seconds to take home the gold. So the Montana Mile and the Montana 100 are each part of the opening ceremonies of the Big Sky State Games in Billings. That's going on right now. Thursday star number 5, Ike Sankey. He is a Joliet native, Joliet, Montana, small little town. And he's getting inducted into the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame. It's a cool honor. He's a stock contractor, so he's the guy that's breeding and distributing the rough stock, the bulls in the Bronx, basically. Sankey Rodeo Company has been around since 1975, and they've had all sorts of great horses. Skoll's Wild Card was the Saddle Bronc of the Year in 1998. Surprise Party Skoll won that honor in 2000. And they've had a bunch of other bucking broncos that were great rough stock. Sankey was a 5-time National Rodeo qualifier himself back in the 70s. in the bareback and the saddle bronc, and well deserved. Montana. You think about the Cowboys and the Cowgirls, you got to have the rough stock as well, and the fact that some of the best rough stocks coming out of Joliet, Montana, seems pretty on brand for the state of Montana, if I don't say so myself. Treasure State star number 6, a young lady we've talked about several times, Reese Esponda. She's a Missoula native, and she just won. She's a Helena native who then went to high school in Missoula. She graduated from Sentinel. The all-around competition at the United States Classic for women's gymnastics over the week, who finished 16th at the U.S. Championships in the all-around, and then went on to the U.S. Classic where she was the champion. So she continues to do huge things. She signed with the LSU Tigers to compete in gymnastics. That's a program that won a national championship a couple years ago. Livy Dunn has become a household name in the world of college sports because of her record-setting NIL deals and her ability as a gymnast. So a young lady from Missoula competing, from Montana, from Helena/Missoula, competing on the national stage. Pretty darn cool. And finally, Treasure State Stars, probably presented by Parkside Credit Union. We wind up with Holden Sampson, who is part of the Sampson clan out of Helena. He played for the Bobcat football team, and he's now the new head coach at Townsend High School. So that's just cool when you get young coaches who have college experience as players. I think that resonates with the current high school kids. And Townsend's had a good program over the years. They produced some great players like Jace Lewis, who came to the Grizz and wore number 37. So Holden Sampson, the new head man there in Townsend. So we'll see how he does, but that should be a fun storyline to follow. Treasure State Stars probably presented by Parkside Credit Union, the best place in western Montana to get a loan because Parkside Credit Union loves to say yes. Hour 1 in the books, Hour 2 coming at you. We'll give you some free Tagliari Deli. We'll talk some NFL. We'll talk some Grizz. We'll talk some Cats. That's all next. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. 129 ESPN Radio.
Jewelry Design Center. We want to be your jeweler for life.
Bring the whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
In honor of our great nation's 250th anniversary, Mattress Firm is having its biggest 4th of July sale ever. The entire lineup of top-rated mattress brands are on sale with prices starting at $149 up to top-of-the-line mattresses with lifetime warranties. Get the sleep you deserve with payments starting at $39 a month. Mattress Firm has pillows, sheets, adjustable bases, all on sale too during their biggest 4th of July sale ever. Locally owned and nationally known Mattress Firm.
Mattress Firm, where it's easy to get a great night's sleep.
Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
For the 5th consecutive year, the Montana State Bobcats are the consensus favorite to win the Big Sky Conference, according to the preseason polls released Tuesday by the league office. Hello, I am Hayden Smith. Montana State enters the 2026 season as the defending Big Sky Conference and FCS national champions. After opening last year with an 0-2 record, the Bobcats rattled off 14 straight victories to capture their 3rd conference championship in 4 seasons and their first national title since 1984. That championship team returns plenty of star power, led by All-American senior quarterback Justin Lamson, All-Big Sky running back Adam Jones, All-Conference receiver and return specialist Taco Dowler, and reigning Big Sky Defensive Player of the Year, Caden Dowler. That returning talent, combined with head coach Brent Vigen's remarkable success, has Montana State entering the season as the overwhelming favorite. Vigen has posted an impressive 37-3 conference record during his 5 seasons in Bozeman. The Bobcats received 35 of the 38 first-place votes in the media poll and 11 of the 13 first-place votes from the league's coaches. Montana was picked to finish 2nd in both polls and received 1 first-place vote from the media. UC Davis was the unanimous choice for 3rd, earning 2 first-place votes from both the media and coaches. Rounding out the top 5, Idaho State was selected 4th in the media poll and 5th by the coaches, while Northern Arizona finished 4th in the coaches' polls and 5th in the media rankings.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
Welcome back. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Appreciate you for hanging. You missed anything in the first hour of the show. We went a lot of different directions, talking about the Big Sky kickoff, some of the questions and storylines for the Montana representatives. The Grizzlies bringing Eli Gilman and Peyton Wing as their player representatives to the media conference. And then the Dowler brothers for Montana State will be coming as well. So we talked about all the off-the-field stuff with Eli Gilman and Taco Dowler as like the sort of the faces of NIL here in the state of Montana, and also the legacies that they've each built entering their senior years. Talking a little Peyton Wing about the scheme change at Montana and how he as a linebacker might adjust it and potentially thrive. We also heard from Parker Link, a future Montana Grizzly, recent Missoula Hellgate graduate. That was our senior spotlight. And we gave you some of the best individual performances from around the state of Montana as part of our Treasure State Stars. All of that on the Nuanez Now podcast, which is available on all your various podcast hosting platforms. Please rate, review, subscribe, and go check out that episode if you missed anything in that first hour. You want to stream the show, you always can. 1029ESPN.com, ESPN MT app, YouTube, and Facebook. As always, we are coming to you live from the ESPN MT studio, probably sponsored by Grizzly Disposal. Grizzly Disposal is locally owned and veteran-owned, the only Bears that should be in your garbage. I didn't give you my thoughts on Caden Dowler, but we'll do that a little later on because I have some more thoughts about the Big Sky kickoff and Bobby Kennedy and the Grizz. So that's coming up here in just a little while. I want to transition, though, to the NFL. I tasked Hayden, man behind the glass, with coming up with some NFL questions. So, and some Grizz and Bobcat questions as well. But Hayden, I'll throw it to you. What do you got today? What sort of intrigue do you have? What sort of NFL question do you have for me?
All right, Coulter. The Broncos and Patriots both benefited from favorable schedules and injuries on their way to the AFC Championship game last season. With for sure tougher schedules ahead, some crazy offseason controversy in New England, Bo Nix's ankle kind of being a question mark right now. Which team is more likely to regress?
Excellent question. And it's funny because before I asked you to ask questions, that I put one of my intriguing storylines in here, and you said, well, my question is exactly about what you put in there, so we were sort of on the same wavelength there. But what I wrote in the outline is that one of my most interesting offseason questions or preseason questions is, Were the Patriots actually the best team in the AFC last year, or did they just win the AFC Championship? That might sound stupid, because if you win the AFC Championship, you are definitively, by result, the best team in the league. So I'm not taking anything away from the New England Patriots. It was an exceptional bounce-back year. They went from a 3-14 squad 2 years in a row, fired Gerard Mayo, brought in Mike Vrabel, flipped it opposite. It is so hard in the NFL to go from 3-14 to 14-3 in one offseason, but the Patriots did it. They completely crazy went 8-0 on the road last year, which who does that? I mean, they were 14-3 and they lost 3 home games. That's crazy, especially when you talk about Foxborough being one of the toughest places in the AFC to play. But they did it for a variety of reasons. First of all, Mike Vrabel is one of the best coaches in the NFL, even though he's much maligned, certainly, with his offseason controversy, which we'll get to in just a minute. But also the emergence of Drake May as a bona fide, real deal, like frontline NFL starting quarterback. Some of the offseason additions, I mean, they signed more free agents than anybody else in the NFL, and they got a heck of a lot of those guys for great bargains. Their ability to get the most out of guys that have been sort of outcast by other franchises, guys like Stephon Diggs. I think all those factors went into the Patriots being much improved. But I also think the Patriots win in the AFC, had plenty of circumstance behind it as well. Last year was a disastrous year for the Kansas City Chiefs. So you remove them from contention, that has a huge impact on the entire makeup of the AFC. So that's one factor. Let's just count them up. I'll just put my fingers up for every factor that was advantageous for the Patriots. Certainly the Chiefs being derailed before the season started by the Rashid Rice controversy. The fact that they just didn't have enough weapons for Mahomes. They reshuffled their offensive line, and it did not work out that well for them. They traded Ladarius Sneed last offseason, and that hurt their defense. Everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong for the Chiefs, and they finished in third place in their division, which is so non-customary for an Andy Reid team and a Patrick Mahomes team. They finished 6-11, and they missed the playoffs. Number 2, the Baltimore Ravens were a pretty disastrous team last year. Lamar Jackson was hurt off and on. Nothing catastrophic, but was never fully healthy, especially down the stretch. The defense was a complete train wreck. At one point, like the defense the Ravens had on their board going into the year, they only had 2 dudes from that whole defense starting a couple of the games in the middle of the year. That's how many guys they had out. So that hurts them. Also, the Ravens are very much like a couple other teams in the league where they've always had an identity that's sort of built on toughness and defense. And when they paid their quarterback what elite top 10 quarterbacks get paid now, that $50 to $60 million a year, it holds back the amount of, not just the amount of money, but the amount of assets and the amount of talent you can have on your defense. And I'm not willing to say that Baltimore is all the way there yet right now, but I mean, Baltimore was such a disaster that John Harbaugh, who was one of the longest tenured coaches in the NFL and a Super Bowl champion, got shown the door. What else do you need to know about how derailed Baltimore got last year than that? Okay, that's 2. Last year, Cincinnati was a wreck. Joe Burrow got banged up. The offensive line was bad again. The defense was even worse, probably the worst defense in the entire NFL. I'm not saying Cincinnati was a big-time Super Bowl favorite, but the fact that the Bengals have a quarterback that has led them to the Super Bowl and has led them on a playoff run that included winning at Arrowhead Stadium, as long as Joe Burrow's the guy and he's upright, the Bengals need to be in the mix. But they can't keep him upright, and they can't stop anybody. So them just continually, sometimes they've been great, sometimes they've been awful. But last year they were awful. That also clears it. But that probably shouldn't be. These are in no particular order. I'm just looking at the division standings and bouncing back and forth. The Buffalo Bills were supposed to be that team last year. They were supposed to be, with Mahomes out of the way, the team that ran the table in the AFC. But they couldn't get past the Patriots. So you give the Patriots all the credit in the world, But then you also had basically the playoff meltdown that thwarted them last year, and that keeps the Bills from fulfilling their destiny as well. Then you factor in the Denver Broncos. They were the betting favorites going to the AFC Championship. They were, to me, I thought that it was very clear after the first month of the year that the Broncos were the most complete team in the AFC, and I dubbed them as the AFC favorite. They were the 1 seed. They hosted the AFC Championship game, but then Bo Nix busts his ankle, and New England takes full advantage, and they're the ones that win the conference, and they ride in. And then the final factor, I know the Jags won the AFC South, but then they pretty quickly dipped out of the playoffs. But I actually thought the Houston Texans were the best team in that division, and I also thought the Houston Texans were probably one of the 3 or 4 best teams in the AFC, alongside, in no particular order, the Broncos, the Patriots, the Bills. But I probably would have the Texans right there as the 3rd or 4th best team in the AFC. And C.J. Stroud had his infamous meltdown where he couldn't hang on to the ball. He was all over the place. He was seeing ghosts. He couldn't check into the right plays. Somehow he throws the ball like 50 times in a driving snowstorm and turns the ball over like it's his job, and they lose to the Patriots. So, again, the Patriots deserve all the credit in the world for taking advantage of the breaks and doing all that. But when you have all of those conglomeration of circumstances, the Bo Nix injury, the Patrick Mahomes down season, the Justin Herbert playoff failings that continue, Joe Burrow and the Bengals' bad defense and the bad offensive line and all the factors in Cincinnati, Lamar Jackson being not up to par, and the Baltimore Ravens having a down year on defense that gets their coach fired, C.J. Stroud's playoff meltdown, Josh Allen not being able to step up to the plate, Bo Nix's injury, all of those things, that's like 10 factors at his name that went the Patriots' way. So, to answer your question, Hayden, I think that the Patriots have a serious chance of regressing this year. Now, if they just regress by, a 3-game regression is a serious regression in the NFL. If they regress 3 or 4 games, they're still going to be a 10-7 team that's in the mix for a wild card. And I don't think you'd be that mad about that objectively. If you're a Patriots fan, of course you'd be mad about that. But objectively, like, there's going to be a moment when Drake May goes through a lull that might be happening right now. It might have happened in the playoffs last year into this year. And then there's all the off-the-field stuff, too, with Mike Vrabel, Diana Rossini, the scandal that dominated the news cycle for several months. If you don't know, just go look up old Chico Doesn't Know Sports episodes from the Nuanez Now podcast, because we talked about it basically every week for like 6 or 7 weeks straight. We won't rehash that here, but that also has a chance to be a distraction. So when you factor in, the Patriots got super fortunate last year. They also took advantage to full effect. They also had the new head coach influx of energy. And then you factor in that they're still in a tough division, and the Bills are going to be back in a big way. Maybe they're not in a tough division because I think the Dolphins and the Jets suck. But if you're in one of if you're in a division with one of the best teams in the league, like the Bills, it's still going to be a tough division to win, even if it's not a tough division to navigate. But you factor in Drake May having to overcome the late season slump, the off the field stuff with Vrabel and Rossini, the fact they got so fortunate last year, all of those play into, I think, the answer being the New England Patriots being the team that regresses much more than the Denver Broncos. The thing about the Broncos is, I don't know, your point about the schedule is really good one, Hayden. I think I don't know if people understand this, but one of the reasons the NFL has so much parity, well, one is the salary cap, but 2 is the way that they do the scheduling. So if you're a division winner, then the way they organize the schedule is you're going to get a way tougher schedule than you did the previous year. Conversely, if you're the Patriots, when you go 3-14, you get a way easier schedule, quote unquote easier. I think there's validity to that, especially depending on what division you're in. But I also think that sometimes the easy scheduling thing is overblown, because like you might have a schedule that looks easy on paper, but what happens when one of those teams, like anybody that played the Patriots last year, anybody that was about to play the Patriots going into last year, I should say, they look at that on paper and they say, well, that's an easy game. That's an easy schedule. We're playing the team that had the second worst record in the league. But then all of a sudden it doesn't become an easy schedule because it's the Patriots and they're really good. So sometimes that stuff is overblown in terms of scheduling. But I do think it is impactful. And it's all about what games you pull. Like, what division are you playing outside of your own division, right? You have to play everybody in your division home and away. There's 6 of your games. Then you also play a crossover with another division. If you're the AFC East, for example, if that other division is the NFC West, you automatically just got a hard schedule because you got the Seahawks, Rams, and 49ers who are all really good and should stay really good. But then also you might get the crossover where you get the NFC South, and there's not a team in there with a winning record. So that certainly plays, but I think that for the challenge for the Broncos is they've been incrementally better under Sean Payton. They've been incrementally better with Bo Nix. Now can they sustain? They were the best team in football last year in one-score games. One of the statistics and analytics statistics that I believe in the most is the regression to the mean when you win one-score games over and over and over again. If you've won 10, 11, 12, 13 one-score games in a row, or you've won 80% of your one-score games over the course of a season or two, that regression to the mean is almost certainly going to return. It doesn't matter how good you are in the NFL. You're not going to really win more than like 55 to 60% of your one-score games, and that's if you have an unbelievable quarterback and coach and team. So can the Broncos continue to win one-score games? Go ahead, Hayden, if you have something to add.
Yeah, I mean, the Broncos won 13 games last year where they were behind. And there is no way, and it's an NFL record, there is no way that they are able to accomplish that this year. And I think that is a point towards the Broncos regressing a bit as well.
I mean, that's a great point. They won multiple games last year where they didn't even lead for a second.
Do you remember the Giants game? That game was outrageous. They came back like 30 points in the fourth quarter.
30 points in the fourth quarter. They also had the game where they never led for a single second and then hit a game-winning field goal at the horn. I think it was against Indianapolis early in the year. I was down in Vegas for the Eagles concert last September with my mom and my father-in-law and my wife. And I remember I had bet on the Colts that day, and I almost fell over watching this game at the sports book while we were walking back to the hotel because I couldn't believe it. But yeah, the Broncos literally won multiple games last year where they didn't lead in the game for a single second until the final field goal went through. So that's definitely a testament to the fact that I think they regress a little bit. That said, if Bo Nix is the same as he was last year, that means he's solid, and you pair that with a great offensive line, a great offensive coach, and in my opinion, one of the three best defenses in the league.
And you tack Jalen Waddle on there, too, which is a huge factor.
Jalen Waddle I think, has a chance to be, well, he's certainly going to be an impact player. How big of an impact remains to be seen. To me, he's got to show me that he's a great player, not just a good player. But he certainly is better than what they've had. And he had a good year last year, almost 1,000 yards receiving. So, and he's got speed, and I think that's something that they need in their receiving core for sure. So I think that the Broncos have a chance to be pretty dang good again. I think the Patriots will also be good. I still think they're going to be 14-3 good. So I think the answer to your question is certainly a regression. Well, it's down 102.9 ESPN Radio. Hayden will keep on having NFL questions for me, but I'll turn it back to the Grizz and the Cats and the Big Sky Conference as well. So we'll take a break. We'll come back. What sort of things do I want to know from Caden Dowler, the reigning Big Sky Conference MVP? And also, what sort of questions do I have for Bobby Kennedy? We'll do that next. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. It's 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Is a will you marry me in your future? Or maybe you do it all over again. Hi, I'm Brian Toon with Jewelry Design Center, inviting you to come see the largest selection of Will You Marry Me in the state of Montana. The brightest diamonds of every shape and size, unique settings built to last, and skilled jewelers on site offering free sizing and maintenance for life, because that's how long we want to be your jeweler. Jewelry Design Center in Missoula, on Brooks, across from the Montana Club.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
For the fifth consecutive year, the Montana State Bobcats are the consensus favorite to win the Big Sky Conference, according to the preseason polls released Tuesday by the league office. Hello, I am Hayden Smith. Montana State enters the 2026 season as the defending Big Sky Conference and FCS national champions. After opening last year with an 0-2 record, the Bobcats rattled off 14 straight victories to capture their third conference championship in 4 seasons and their first national title since 1984. That championship team returns plenty of star power, led by All-American senior quarterback Justin Lamson, All-Big Sky running back Adam Jones, All-Conference receiver and return specialist Taco Dowler, and reigning Big Sky Defensive Player of the Year, Caden Dowler. That returning talent, combined with head coach Brent Vigen's remarkable success, has Montana State entering the season as the overwhelming favorite. Vigen has posted an impressive 37-3 conference record during his 5 seasons in Bozeman. The Bobcats received 35 of the 38 first-place votes in the media poll and 11 of the 13 first-place votes from the league's coaches. Montana was picked to finish second in both polls and received 1 first-place vote from the media. UC Davis was the unanimous choice for third, earning 2 first-place votes from both the media and coaches. Rounding out the top 5, Idaho State was selected 4th in the media poll and 5th by the coaches, while Northern Arizona finished 4th in the coaches' polls and 5th in the media rankings.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
Welcome back. Well, it's now 102.9 ESPN Radio. Appreciate you for hanging. Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned, veteran-owned, the only Bears that should be in your garbage. Our Big Sky kickoff preview coverage continues. Excited to get to Spokane and see not just the coaches and the players, but also the people that work in the athletic departments, the sports information directors, the athletic directors, the people that work at the league office. It's always a bittersweet ending to summer, but certainly good to see all those people. So we're going to sort of continue to just give you the stuff that I'm curious and knowing about as we head to Spokane for media days, and just turn it into conversations just about Big Sky Conference football and what I'm sort of curious and learning about headed into the 2026 football season. I gave you some of the talking points around Eli Gilman, Taco Dowler, and Peyton Wing, who are 3 of the 4 representatives from the Grizz and the Cats, respectively, going to Spokane. The 4th player is Caden Dowler. He's the reigning Big Sky Conference Defensive Player of the Year. Had an unbelievable year last year. Some would say a charmed year. He had 7 interceptions, including 3 that he returned for touchdowns, 1 being one of the most pivotal touchdowns that Montana State scored last year. It happened in Missoula in a back-and-forth brawl of the wild, and Montana had executed a 2-minute drill right out of the halftime locker room to take the lead, and then they'd gotten a stop, and Grizz were a little bit backed up towards the north end zone, but Looked like they had some room to work. And then a controversial no call on slot receiver Michael Wortham with Cole Taylor guarding him man-to-man resulted in a tip pass, which then went right into Caden Dowler's breadbasket, and he takes it up the sideline, and boom, the Cats are back in control, and they never relinquished control, and that win in Missoula helped them secure the home field advantage throughout the FCS playoffs and made sure that Montana came back to Bozeman for the semifinals in the Super Bowl, which was a crazy moment that I will certainly never forget. But Dowler seemed to be in the right place at the right time all the time last year, and I tend to believe that if you're in the right place at the right time all the time, you're not lucky. You're really good. You're putting yourself in that spot. For those that haven't followed along, the Caden Dowler story is an amazing one. He was a really good player in high school, Billings West High School, but he lived in his brother's shadow. Taco Dowler was the Gatorade Player of the Year. Caden Dowler was, just a good high school football player, first-team All-State defensive back at Billings West. But one guy was a full ride offer guy from everywhere, basically not just in the state, but a lot of places. Taco Dowler got recruited by everybody. Caden Dowler was sort of a fringe guy. People were trying to decide if he was like a preferred walk-on or a partial scholarship guy, and there was a lot of teams that were wondering, okay, do we pull the trigger on giving Caden a scholarship if we're going to give Taco a scholarship? Or if we really want Taco, is it a package deal? Well, then Montana State decided, okay, this kid's good enough to be on his own merit. It's not just a package deal. We want to give him an offer. And so they did. When Taco Dowler was a breakout player as a freshman, I don't think that many people were surprised. When Caden Dowler started making his way on the field really early in his career, I think it was a little bit more of a surprise. Partially just because playing, safety in the Big Sky Conference is, I'm not going to say it's harder than playing receiver, but it has a higher barrier to entry. You have to have the physical development and the mental development. And that's not to say you don't have to have both those things to play receiver. But if you're really fast and you got great ball skills and you can run a couple routes, you can make some hay as a slot receiver. Maybe not as an every down type of guy, but you can be a guy that gets in the game plan, gets a couple touches like Taco did his freshman year. Well, Caden Dowler was one of the breakout guys coming off his redshirt year. And then he got hurt, knocked him back down. Started climbing it as a sophomore, got hurt, knocked him back down. And this kept happening. And he's been hurt multiple times. He's missed multiple stretches. And so you're ever wondering, okay, this guy has great football potential. He's got unbelievable football IQ. He's got insane natural leadership characteristics. Will he ever be able to stay healthy? Well, I thought it was a telltale deal that he was voted a team captain coming into last year, even though he never really played a full season at Montana State. That shows you what they thought of him internally, what his teammates thought of him. Well, then, to put it all together, and even battle injuries within the midst of last season and still come out on top and be one of the not just best players but also best leaders and heart and soul of the national championship team. It's a pretty cool story, and Dowler certainly deserves a ton of credit for having the fortitude to do it. So that's what I want to ask him this year, is that I had talked to him about his fortitude and his ability to persevere and show toughness when he was in the midst of all those injuries. But then to come out on the other side and actually to reap the rewards of that perseverance, of that dedication, what was that like? But also then how do you then take it to another level? Now you have shown what you can do if you play a full year. You have shown what your potential is. You have shown that you can be the leader of a national championship team. Taco Dowler calls Caden Dowler the best football player in the Big Sky. Consistently, every time he's interviewed. How do you live up to that? What sort of mentality does that take to be able to live up to it? That's a stout challenge, but also knowing the competitor that Caden Dowler is, certainly one that I think he's very much ready to pursue. Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio. We'll be headed to Spokane on Saturday. We'll be having plenty of content for you on Sunday and Monday. We'll be doing the show live from Spokane, from the Northern Quest Casino on Monday, and then we'll make our way back this way. So looking forward to that. What questions do you have? What sort of storylines do you want to know about when it comes to Big Sky Conference football? Text us, 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Text us what you want to know about the Grizz, the Cats, and everybody else in between. One dynamic I was really thinking about is we've talked extensively about the Montana State dynamic of them being the reigning national champions and now having the target on their backs. How do you flip the motivation? How do you flip the tactic of pursuit of greatness when you're not the hunter anymore, you're the hunted, right? But one thing the Cats have done really well to get to that point was identify their weaknesses and also identify who is the standard. Who is the team or teams we have to catch? They went through it losing to North Dakota State, I think 6 times in the playoffs, and then losing to South Dakota State 1 time in the playoffs. It's pretty definitive. You say, okay, we got to get over that team. The team we lost to won the national championship. That's the standard. We got to get over that team. Now, here's one of my questions for Bobby Kennedy, the head coach of the Grizz. Can you do that same thing if you're the Grizz when the team that is the standard is also your rival? It's easy to sit. It's not easy, but it's easier to sit in Bozeman, Montana, and talk about a team in Fargo, North Dakota that's a state away, a conference away, and has been the standard bearer for 15 years. It's easier if you're Brett Vegan to sit there and say, here's where we're at as a program. We got to get here. And the team that we need to overcome is that team. That's easier than being Bobby Kennedy and saying, here we are as a program, and the team we need to get over the top against is that team right down the road. It's just a totally different deal when it's your rival, especially your in-state rival. Because South Dakota State went through the same thing. Their fierce rival, North Dakota State. They couldn't beat them forever. Then they started beating them, but they couldn't beat them in the playoffs. And they couldn't win the national championship because North Dakota State was always winning the national championship. Well, then South Dakota State started beating them and beating them in the playoffs, and then they beat them in the national championship. They also talked about reaching that standard. That was like why the phenomenon of North Dakota State was so interesting, because not only did they win 10 national championships during their 15-year run, but they were so good, so solid, and so steady that everybody in the country had no bones about saying, that's the standard we need to reach. How do we get there? I don't think it's as easy or even a reality if you're Bobby Kennedy to say that. You can certainly acknowledge that your season was only derailed by 2 games and they were 2 rivalry losses. I think that is perfectly in bounds and fair. And who knows, maybe Coach Kennedy does talk about the standard that Montana State has set, and he talks about having to meet and exceed that standard. I don't know. It just seems like it's a lot different to talk about, to give credit to your arch rival as the standard bearer and the trophy bearer in the FCS is a lot more challenging and I think probably unrealistic of a task than talking about North Dakota State or talking about South Dakota State, even if you are North Dakota State or South Dakota State. But maybe I'm wrong. So that's my question for Bobby Kennedy. Can you use losing to the Cats twice in 28 days as motivation? And will you internally? I think I'm just talking about in the public sphere, right? Make no mistake, the Grizz and the Cats talk about the rivalry and where they're at compared to their rival all the time. I mean, there is clocks in both locker rooms counting down to when they play each other, right? Like, there's been times in the past, I don't know about what the Cats have done, but there's been times in the past where I know the Grizz have played on a loop highlights of them losing to the Cats in the locker room for a whole calendar year to try to motivate themselves. So internally, I think it's all up for grabs. I just want to know, like, when you're setting the standard narrative for your season, do you acknowledge that the standard bearer for the subdivision at the current moment is your rival? Do you openly talk about trying to catch the Cats? Or do you just say we want to be the best we can be, we want to be the best team in the country, and just let it be implied? I'm not sure. It's going to be fascinating. Can you use losing to the Cats twice in a month as motivation if you're the Grizz? That's going to be one of my big questions for Bobby Kennedy at this week's Big Sky Kickoff. This weekend, Big Sky Kickoff in Spokane. Nuanez Now July 9 ESPN Radio. Text from a listener. What's the deal with Coulter's weird statue? If you were just now watching on TV, this has been here for a long time. So long story short, first of all, this statue actually has Big Sky Conference relevance. It's a bronze of Bill Kohler, who's one of the greatest players ever out of the Big Sky Conference. He was a first-round draft pick out of Montana State. There's only ever been 2 first-round draft picks in the history of the league. Bill Kohler was one of them. He was the MVP of the East-West Shrine Game, the Senior Bowl, the preeminent all-star game for seniors coming out of MSU. They got drafted in the first round, played 9 years in the NFL. Then he went on to be the defensive line coach for the Atlanta Falcons, the Houston Texans, and the Denver Broncos. Coached in multiple Super Bowls and has a Super Bowl ring. I don't have this statue for any other reason than circumstance. First of all, I just think it's cool. There's a bronze statue of a guy that I know personally, that I've written about a ton, that's been on this show, that was one of the great defensive line coaches in all of football for a really long time. That's cool. This is not a Cat or a Grizz thing. The reason this is in here is that our owner here at Missoula Broadcast Company is a huge sports fan. She supports this pursuit, Nuanez Now, as well as ESPN Radio, with incredible passion. She's one of our obviously most loyal listeners, but she has this collection of these cool sports bronzes. There's like a couple tennis ones and various sports spread throughout the office, but I just decided to put this one here. You probably have never noticed it, even if you have been a loyal watcher on television or on the ESPN MT app, because I usually use it as sort of like a hat stand. I'll put our ESPN hats on there. I'll put our Marty Mornaweg football camp hats on there, or if we're talking some baseball, put a baseball hat on there. So maybe you just didn't notice. Or maybe you just couldn't see that the bronze is like missing a leg down here, but that's the story. Number 77 is one of the retired numbers in Montana State history. They only have 4, but more than anything, it's not about the Grizz or the Cats. This is about this guy. This guy coached Von Miller and Jadeveon Clowney in the NFL. That's why I think Bill Kohler is cool, and that's why I have his statue in my studio. I just think it's cool that there's a statue in a bronze made of a guy that played football in Montana and has been on this show. So there's the answer to your question. What's the weird deal with Coulter's weird statue? It's actually not mine. It's our owner's, but it's just a sort of a cool relic and an honor to a guy that's a Montana Pro Football Hall of Famer and a guy that has been very kind and generous to me over the years, and a guy that's, for me, that is an honor to know. So there you go. That's what's up with my weird statue. Appreciate you listening. 406-888-1029. If you'd like to ask us a question, give us a comment, a concern, everything. Give us talking points, but you can also ask us about our weird decorations if you want. Let us know. 406-888-1029. And any and all texts are welcome. Send it along to Hayden, and he'll get you in the mix here on Nuanez Now. We'll take one more break, come back. We'll do a little This Day in History. We'll give you some free Taglieri, and we'll keep on talking Big Sky Conference football. That's all next. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. You're listening to ESPN MT.
In honor of our great nation's 250th anniversary, Mattress Firm is having its biggest 4th of July sale ever. Save up to $1,000 off top-rated Tempur-Pedic, or save hundreds off Purple mattresses and premium adjustable bases. Save up to 50% on top-of-the-line mattresses, all backed by their 365-day guarantee. See store for details. It's their biggest 4th of July sale ever at your locally owned and nationally known Mattress Firm.
Mattress Firm, where it's easy to get a great night's sleep.
Les Schwab changed the tire game more than 70 years ago. Today, we still believe you should get more from less. Like more hustle, less hassle. More of the best service around, less of the runaround. Because we include America's best tire warranty in every tire we sell. So you get more unbeatable warranty, less charging you extra. It's why we're more than proud to say, you get more from less.
Jewelry Design Center. We want to be your jeweler for life.
On 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
Welcome back. Blues Traveler, one of my favorite concerts I've seen in Missoula. Super fun seeing those guys. Although John Hopper's half the man he used to be. And I mean that in the best way. Compliment to the big man. It's funny, though, because he still wears I think he still wears the same shirts as when he was very large. And so it's like a normal large size guy wearing like a quad X shirt, which is pretty funny. I think it's one of his ways of sort of showing off, like, hey, here's what I accomplished, which is great. Anyways, can't wait to get back out to the Kettle House Amphitheater. Haven't been there yet this summer, but certainly got a few shows coming up, so looking forward to that. Another good playlist today from the man, Hayden Smith. Thanks for doing it. Missing the show, you can always find it on the Nuanez Now podcast, which is available on all your various podcast hosting platforms. Please rate, review, subscribe. And appreciate all of our friends at Grizzly Disposal for their continued support of being our studio sponsor. It's a Tuesday. Usually we do this in the first hour, but we had a couple guests that made things a little bit tight. But it's Tag Tuesday. It means it's Taglieri Deli. We got a $25 gift card for you. All you got to do is text us, 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Give us some show information. Give us a question. What do you want us to talk about, or give us a talking point? What sort of things are you musing on when it comes to the NFL, Big Sky Conference football, Grizz, Cats, whatever? Let us know. 406-888-1029. Give us the question or the comment, and that you want sandwiches or whatever you want. Tag has a wonderful selection of Italian-style goods as well. Olive oils, wine, pasta. Just hit us with some talking points for the show, and let us know you want some Tag. You got a $25 gift card to Taglieri Deli. Locations both on Wyoming Street in the Sawmill District and at the corner of Beckwith and Higgins. Tag Tuesday every Tuesday here on Nuanez Now. This day in history, July 21st, 1985. That's 41 years ago, if I'm doing my math correctly. Nolan Ryan recorded his 4,000th strikeout. He was, at that exact moment, the first Major League Baseball player to record 4,000 strikeouts. The Ryan Express then went on to pitch for another 8 seasons. He led the league in strikeouts 4 more times after that 1985 season. And he ended up his career with 5,714 strikeouts. That, I would reckon, is going to be the Major League Baseball record forevermore. There might be somebody that breaks Nolan Ryan's single-season record of 383 strikeouts set in 1973. But I can never, ever, ever imagine there's going to be somebody that pitches for 27 years like Nolan Ryan did. Nolan Ryan's rookie year for the New York Mets when he was 19 years old came in 1966. Think of that. He broke into the bigs in 1966. Nolan Ryan was still pitching when I was a kid, 27 years later. Nolan Ryan's final season came as a 46-year-old for the Texas Rangers in 1993. 27 seasons, 324 wins, and again, I think an untouchable 5,714 strikeouts. It's not just the prolific nature of it, right? I mean, he had 300 strikeout seasons 5 times in 6 years during his absolute prime in the 70s when he was pitching for the California Angels. But then he went on to have 301 strikeouts for the Texas Rangers when he was 42 years old. He also had multiple other 250 strikeout seasons. But it's just the fact that you're just not going to pitch long enough anymore. He's a physical marvel. Like, how can you be the hardest throwing pitcher maybe ever? I mean, one of the hardest throwing pitchers in the history of baseball. How can you be that and then also pitch more seasons than anybody in the history of the game? That defies conventional wisdom. To put this in perspective, there's only been, I think, 4 or 5 300 strikeout seasons this millennium. Okay? Garrett Cole had one. Justin Verlander had one. I think Randy Johnson had one. The most recent one was Clayton Kershaw, I believe. So there's only been 5. In the last 26 years, you would have to have 19 consecutive 300 strikeout seasons to break Nolan Ryan's career record. That's what you call an unbreakable record. So today, in sports history, July 21st, 1985, 41 years ago, Nolan Ryan moved into the 4,000 strikeout club. He then went on to strike out 1,714 more batters after that. The other, I mean, his 7 no-hitters are also one that's just going to be pretty hard to ever live up to. But I've been thinking about Nolan Ryan a lot lately because I do think that when it comes to analyzing baseball, we have to have sort of new barometers because the game is just being played so much differently. Everything from the science to the analytics to the WAR to the rule changes to the pitch clock, everything's just different. You're just not going to see someone that has the number of pitching decisions, for example, that guys from the olden days used to have. They used to pitch guys deep into the 7th and 8th inning. Always, like basically no matter what was happening, they would just pitch them forever and ever and ever. I mean, like, to put this in perspective, Nolan Ryan threw 22 complete games in 1977, 26 in 1974, 26 in 1973. There's just no way. Some of the best pitchers in baseball right now, I bet you don't even have 26 complete games in their entire career. So when you're talking about statistics like win totals for pitchers, complete games, there's just not going to be nearly the prolific because these guys are making so much money now. The teams have to protect them. There's so many great guys out of the bullpen. There's so many different analysis with the statistics and the analytics. You're just going to always lean on, instead of, used to be you just keep Nolan Ryan in the game. because that was your best option. Now it's almost impossible that your best option is to keep a guy in the game if you have a matchup that's better. You got a lefty to throw to a lefty that's got better stuff, and it's a better, like, you're just always going to go to the bullpen. That's one of just a many statistics in baseball we have to adjust, right? Like 3,000 hits used to be an iconic number. I don't know if we're going to see that often anymore. 500 home runs, 600 home runs. Maybe the home runs will get there, but like RBI. The single season RBI record is 191 by Hack Wilson. We ever going to get there again? I don't think so. So you just got to adjust the way you think about baseball. It's a quick little diamond time here on Nuanez Now, probably presented by DeMorris Automotive. DeMorris Automotive, been family owned in Missoula since 1958. DeMorris Automotive at 3115 West Broadway. Proud to offer Buick, GMC, and Mercedes-Benz. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Ryan Tutel, Craig Haley, and more Big Sky Conference football. We'll see you at 4 p.m. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio.